Hello and welcome to my kitchen. Like many people during lockdown, I've been spending much more time at home than I would normally do, and so I have been experimenting with some favourites in the baking department. So I thought today I'd share with you the way that I have found easiest to make oatcakes. They're a great favourite in our house, and they're made from some of the simplest of Scottish ingredients. In Scotland, our climate is particularly suitable for growing oats, and for centuries they have formed a staple part of the Scottish diet. Many of our ancestors lived on small farms or crofts with just enough land to grow crops to sustain the family. Oats would nearly always be one of these crops and would have been used to make a variety of dishes, including porridge, brose, bannocks, and oatcakes. Nowadays, we recognise oats as a superfood, and they can be found in various guises in many supermarkets. Oatcakes have a few simple ingredients: oatmeal, plain flour, not self-raising, butter or margarine, bicarbonate of soda, salt, and boiling water. First, you need to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius and melt 80 grams of butter or margarine. Into a large bowl, put 300 grams of oatmeal, 100 grams of plain flour, not self-raising, 1 level teaspoon of salt, and half a level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and mix these together until they're well combined. Make a well in the centre and pour in the melted butter or margarine. And add a splash of boiling water. Keep the kettle at hand for adding more water as necessary to bring the mixture into a dough. Keep mixing, adding small amounts of water at a time, just enough to make everything stick together. You will find it easiest to finish this process by hand. I've discovered that if I get impatient and add more water to make the dough come together more quickly, it makes a denser oatcake, which is perfectly edible, but not the texture that we prefer. You should end up with a ball of dough which is not sticky and a clean bowl. Now that you have your dough, it's time to transfer it to a lightly floured surface and form it into the sort of shape that you can easily cut into 4 approximately equal pieces. I tend to go for a brick type of shape. Once you've cut it into 4 pieces, take one at a time and form it into a ball. Flatten the ball into a round shape no more than 2 or 3 millimeters thick. You might actually find it easier to use a rolling pin for this, especially if your mixture is a wee bit crumbly like mine usually is. I like to think our ancestors probably just used their hands, so I often use the palm of my hand to press mine out and go for a more rustic look with the finished product. However you do it, when you get to your desired thickness, either use a cutter to make individual oatcakes, or just simply cut out the round that you've made into 4 triangle shapes. Traditionally, oatcakes would have been cooked on a hot plate or girdle, suspended over the open fire in the middle of the house, as you can see here. But I'm going to bake mine in the oven, so they're going on to a lightly greased baking tray. You need a little bit of space in between them, but not too much, because the oatcakes will stay pretty much the size that they are now. This mixture doesn't tend to rise or spread at all in the oven. And the amount that we've made today makes 16 large oatcakes. Bake the oatcakes at 180 Celsius for around 20 minutes, but if your oatcakes are thinner, they'll need less baking time, so check after 15 minutes. When they're lightly browned, remove them from the oven and cool on a wire tray. Oatcakes are delicious with lots of different things. They're favourite with cheese, especially soft cheese like brie and some grapes, really yummy. But my personal favourite way of eating them is with a cup of coffee and some marmalade.